Welcome to Long Story Spoken.
Long stories, spoken simply.
Welcome back to Long Story Spoken. I'm your host, Dina, and today, we're diving into a book that has genuinely changed how I think about personal growth and achieving goals. With me, as always, is our resident bookworm and all-around insightful human, Stephen. Stephen, thanks for joining me again.
Dina, it's always a pleasure to be here. And when you said we were discussing Atomic Habits by James Clear, I immediately cleared my schedule. This book is a game changer.
And speaking of changing things for the better, before we jump into the incredible insights from this book, I just want to give a quick shout out. If you're interested in grabbing your own copy of Atomic Habits after hearing our discussion, make sure to check the description below for an affiliate link. Your support helps us keep Long Story Spoken going. So, Stephen, Atomic Habits starts with a pretty revolutionary idea for many people. The surprising power of tiny changes. What was your initial reaction to the concept of 1% better every day?
Honestly, it felt almost too simple at first. We're so conditioned to believe that to achieve massive success, we need to take massive action. But Clear really hammers home that if you improve by just 1% each day for a year, you end up 37 times better. Conversely, if you get 1% worse, you decline almost to zero. It's mind-boggling when you see the math laid out. It's like compound interest for self-improvement.
Compound interest of self-improvement. I love that phrase. It really puts it into perspective. He uses the example of British cycling, right? How they went from decades of mediocrity to dominating. The Olympics and Tour de France, by focusing on the aggregation of marginal gains, things like redesigning bike seats, experimenting with massage gels, even figuring out the best way for riders to wash their hands to avoid colds. It wasn't one huge breakthrough, but hundreds of small, almost unnoticeable improvements adding up.
Exactly, it's about being more concerned with your current trajectory than with your current results. Your outcomes are a lagging measure of your habits. Your net worth is a lagging measure of your financial habits. Your weight is a lagging measure of your eating habits. It's a powerful reframe, moving away from just goal setting to building systems that support continuous improvement. The problem isn't you, he says, it's your system.
And this leads directly into identity, which I found fascinating. Clear argues that true behavior change isn't just about getting results. It's about becoming the type of person who gets those results.
Right, he says, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. If you want to run a marathon, don't just focus on the finish line. Ask, who is the type of person who runs marathons? They're consistent, disciplined, they prioritize training. Then, focus on proving that identity to yourself with small wins. Each time you complete a workout, you're casting a vote for that identity. That resonated deeply with me.
This brings us to the core of the book, the 4 laws of behavior change. It's a simple, actionable framework based on the habit loop: cue, craving, response, and reward. Let's break them down, starting with the first law, make it obvious. What does that entail?
Make it obvious is all about making your good habits impossible to ignore and your bad habits invisible. Clear suggests starting with a habit scorecard to become aware of your current habits. It's shocking how many things we do automatically without even realizing it. Then, using implementation intentions, clearly defining when and where you'll perform a habit. For example, when X happens, I will Y. So, when I finish work, I will go to the gym.
That's so practical. And then there's habit stacking, which takes it a step further.
Yes, it's linking a new habit to an existing one. After I current habit, I will new habit. So, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. This leverages the chain reaction of behaviors. He also emphasizes designing your environment. If you want to eat healthier, put healthy food where it's visible and unhealthy food out of sight. Make the cues for good habits prevalent.
That's where I realized how much my environment was subtly dictating my choices. Moving to the second law, make it attractive. What did you take away from this?
This law is about making your habits appealing. One key concept is temptation bundling, where you pair an action you need to do with an action you want to do. Like I will only watch my favorite show while on the treadmill. It uses Primock's principle. More probable behaviors reinforce less probable ones.
It's brilliant because it makes the necessary action feel less like a chore. And the idea of joining a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior?
Absolutely critical. We imitate the habits of 3 groups: the close, the many, and the powerful. If you want to get fit, Join a gym where everyone is serious about fitness. If you want to read more, join a book club. When your desired behavior is the group's norm, it becomes much more attractive to you.
Then we move to the third law, make it easy. This one feels like a direct counter to the hustle culture mentality.
It's all about reducing friction. Clear talks about the law of least effort. Humans naturally gravitate towards the path of least resistance. If a good habit is difficult, we're less likely to do it. So, make it incredibly easy. He introduces the 2-minute rule. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. If you want to read a book, the habit isn't read a chapter, it's read 1 page. Once you start, it's easier to continue.
I love that. It's about getting started, not necessarily finishing. And automation plays a big role here, right?
Huge. Automating habits means taking one-time actions that lock in future behavior. Setting up automatic bill payments, putting your running clothes out the night before, or even the extreme example he shares of having an assistant reset social media passwords for the week to eliminate distraction. Makes good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible.
And finally, the fourth law, make it satisfying. This is where the reward comes in.
The cardinal rule of behavior change is what is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. We're wired for immediate gratification. So, if a habit has an immediate positive feeling, you're more likely to stick with it. Habit tracking is a great way to do this visually. Seeing that chain of X's on your calendar for every day you've exercised provides immediate satisfaction, reinforcing the behavior.
Yes, and he warns against Goodhart's law, where you focus too much on the metric rather than the actual behavior. It's about the process. Also, accountability partners are mentioned here too.
An accountability partner or a habit contract can be incredibly effective because it introduces an immediate social cost to skipping a habit. If you know someone is expecting you to show up or there's a financial penalty, that makes the cost of not doing the habit more immediate. It leverages our desire to avoid pain and fit in.
So, once you've got the fundamentals and the 4 laws down, Clear moves into advanced tactics. What stood out to you in this section?
The discussion on talent was really insightful. He says that genes matter, but they don't determine everything. They assign your areas of opportunity. It's about choosing the right field where your natural strengths are an advantage. Finding your Goldilocks zone, tasks of just manageable difficulty, is also key to staying motivated. If it's too easy, you get bored. Too hard, you get discouraged. Just right keeps you engaged.
That's so true for anything, isn't it? Finding that sweet spot where you're challenged but not overwhelmed. And then he talks about the downside of creating good habits. That sounds counterintuitive.
It does, but he explains that once habits become automatic, we can get complacent. We stop paying attention and stop looking for ways to improve. Mastery requires a combination of automatic habits and deliberate practice. You need to revisit and refine your habits, not just blindly repeat them. He calls it reflection and review, scheduling a time to review your progress and adjust your systems. It's about continuous improvement, not just reaching a finish line.
So, to bring it all together, what's the ultimate secret to results that last? According to James Clear,
it's truly about understanding that success isn't a goal to reach. It's a system to improve. It's not about a single 1% improvement, but 1,000 of them, all stacking up. He uses the Sorites paradox, the heap paradox, to explain it. 1 grain of sand doesn't make a heap, but add enough, and eventually you have one. Similarly, one small change won't transform your life, but a consistent accumulation of them will.
The weight of the system is working for you rather than against you. That's such a powerful image. It shifts the focus from willpower, which is finite, to designing systems that make good behavior easy and bad behavior difficult.
Exactly, it empowers you by showing you that you can make significant changes, but it starts small, consistently, and with an intelligent approach to how you structure your days and your environment.
Stephen, this has been an incredibly insightful conversation. I feel like we could talk about this book for another hour.
I agree. It's one of those rare books where every page offers a practical takeaway. I've already started implementing some of these strategies in my own life, and the shifts are subtle but definitely noticeable.
That's the power of atomic habits. Thank you so much, Stephen, for breaking down this phenomenal book with me.
My pleasure, Dina.
And thank you, listeners, for tuning in to Long Story Spoken. If you enjoyed this episode and want to dive deeper into atomic habits, don't forget to subscribe, like, and check out the affiliate link in our description. We'll be back next week with another fascinating book. Until then, Keep building those atomic habits.